Gillingham trained since 2014, and back then, most schools weren't too thrilled about Orton Gillingham. In fact, it wasn't even as popular as it is today. You see, back then, most schools were doing balanced literacy, and they were not even worried about explicit and structured literacy. But now everything has changed, and now more and more schools are moving to the science of reading approach. Therefore, they are needing structured literacy curriculums that support explicit phonics instruction. That's why in this video, I'm going to share with you all of my thoughts about the Orton Gillingham curriculum. Hey fun people! If you're new here, hi, my name is Aja. I'm a curriculum specialist turned educational consultant who helps parents and homeschool teachers just like you help get rid of the overwhelm. I don't want you to be burned out when it comes to literacy. Therefore, insert me. I help you manage effective reading instruction by making reading as fun, simple, and systematic as possible. And in this video, I'm going to break down the Orton Gillingham curriculum. But first, we have to talk about what is Orton Gillingham? Orton Gillingham is a structured multi-sensory approach to teaching reading that helps children learn to decode by breaking down words into smaller letters and sounds by following phonics and spelling patterns. Based on pure definition, I'm sure you can already see how so many schools that want structured literacy are already looking into the Orton Gillingham curriculum. But why use the Orton Gillingham curriculum? Now, Orton Gillingham isn't something that just popped up. In fact, it's been around for over 30 years. It's actually one of the first phonics curriculums that was designed to help struggling readers by giving them explicit phonics instruction. Over time, it got its nickname as the dyslexia approach to teaching reading because Orton Gillingham explicitly breaks down sounds with letters and sounds with words. So simply put, Orton Gillingham is a research-based scientific approach to teaching reading that incorporates multi-sensory elements. So now that you understand what Orton Gillingham is, you can pretty much imagine the type of curriculum that it has created. So now let's talk about, does this actually even work? Well, those 30 years of scientific research, like I stated, they're not just around for nothing, and excuse my incorrect English there. But yes, Orton Gillingham has a record of helping over millions of kids all over, including children that struggle with dyslexia. So now that you know it does work, let's talk about how Orton Gillingham works, because that's the true key to understanding the Orton Gillingham curriculum. Orton Gillingham has a phonics scope and sequence that rolls out different letters and sounds that you would teach. Now, the great thing about using the curriculum, this is the recipe book that comes along with it, is that it correlates with writing and multisensory elements, meaning that the way Orton Gillingham designs its scope and sequence is a little different than most phonics curriculums out there. The reason I love the Orton Gillingham scope and sequence is because it rolls out which letters are easiest to write. The multi-sensory elements within the Orton Gillingham curriculum allows children to master how to form letters and then correlate those letters with sounds. Not only do children master different sounds and blends and digraphs and graphings, but they also master words that cannot phonetically be sounded out. The Orton Gillingham curriculum calls these words red words. Alright, y'all ready for the real? Let's talk about, is the Orton Gillingham training actually worth it? The Orton Gillingham training isn't cheap by any means. In fact, it is surely an investment in your knowledge. It is not some fly-by-night type of curriculum. In fact, if you're thinking about getting trained in Orton Gillingham, I suggest that you are coming in with an open mind and ready to actually implement the strategies. You know the old saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. Well, that certainly applies to this. So if you're thinking about getting trained, know that it is an investment of time, energy, and money. So if you're gonna do it, you need to get serious. The Orton Gillingham training is absolutely necessary in order to understand the systematic approach that comes with science of reading. And if you want to know if I think if it's worth it for you to invest in yourself, abso-freaking-lutely. But I'm not quite sure I would rate it 10 out of 10. Let me just share with you what it is like teaching using the Orton Gillingham curriculum. Your reading block comes with so many different parts. I mean, there's reading comprehension, phonics, guided practice, fluency, vocabulary, differentiation, and so much more. With so much on your plate, it's inevitable to feel overwhelmed and burned out. And that's where I come in. Allow me to help you manage all your boxes, all the parts of effective reading instruction. In my free workshop, 3 Secrets to Teaching Reading with Ease. In this workshop, I share with you my proven system to help you teach your entire reading block with ease. So say goodbye and farewell to being burned out, and I'll see you in the workshop. Let me just share with you what it is like teaching using the Orton Gillingham curriculum. Now, the first thing I can say is that the scope and sequence is pretty much seamless. It really flows from one thing to the next, and that's probably one of my favorite things about the scope and sequence in the Orton Gillingham curriculum. It allowed me to teach phonics with confidence. With the 3-part drill, the red word, syllable division, I felt like the expert, and it gave me the confidence of teaching my children phonics rules and phonics spelling patterns. So I felt like the expert, and because I knew what I was doing, I had the confidence to teach them what to do. Now, I was teaching 5th grade when I first was Orton Gillingham certified, and I have to share my most memorable moment real quick, because it is in this moment where I became a true believer of the Orton Gillingham approach to phonics. You see, at this time, like I stated, we were doing balanced literacy. Therefore, I was in the middle of guided reading, and my children were learning both balanced literacy strategies and also explicit phonics strategies. So they were equipped with both in their tool belt. And I never forget this day, I had a group of on and above level children in 5th grade now, 5th grade. Now, before I dive into this particular day, let me just give you a little bit of background of what my phonics instruction was like on the regular. You see, during my 20 minutes of phonics instruction, I did a phonics review of letters and sounds. Yes, I know I was teaching 5th grade, but they needed to know the sounds and also open and close syllables in order for me to do syllable division. So the rest of my 20 minutes was really spent doing syllable division, and I mastered syllable division, and I even created my own system of doing syllable division notebooks. Now, I have to put in this plug. Coming up, I actually have a master class, a 6-week master class, teaching parents and teachers just like you how to do my syllable division system. So I'll also include the link to that down below in the description. Back to the story. Anyways, in our 20 minutes of phonics instruction, we literally spent all of our time dividing syllables. So fast forward, on this particular day, we are in the middle of guided reading, meaning that most of my students were sitting there whisper reading to themselves. And then I had one student just get up in the middle of instruction, just like, poop, I don't need to listen to you right now. So he just got up and went to go get a board and a dry erase marker. And I was like, what are you doing? Why did you just get up off my table? He was like, I have to figure out what word this is. And I was like, baby, that's why we have strategies right here. He was like, no, I have to do the syllable division to figure out this word. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna let you lead. And then I had a little girl, and she was like, oh, I wanna do it. So she stands up, and they all were at the exact same word. They write the word on their dry erase boards, and I literally sit there and I watch them tap it out, and I'm looking at them trying to figure out what this word is. And oh my goodness, it took everything in me not to just tell them the word, but I let them go through this struggle. They went through that challenging struggle of figuring out this word. And y'all, the moment happened when they literally tapped out the word metamorphosis. Kid you not, they tapped out the word metamorphosis. And in that moment, I go, This works. This works. This just made a believer out of me. And I saw the joy. Literally, my children's faces just lit up. I saw them get excited about breaking down a word because they were able to do that on their own. And I know even to this day that that's a strategy that they took and used beyond 5th grade. So that's my personal testimony of what it was like teaching using Orton Gillingham. So I definitely would say it is totally worth it, but I wouldn't necessarily give it a 10 out of 10. So let me explain that as well. So what would I rank the Orton Gillingham curriculum? So let me just explain. A 10 out of 10 to me, that means that your curriculum is perfect. I don't see any flaws in it. I am shouting it off at the rooftops to everybody I see, and there is nothing wrong with it. I don't see any room of improvement. You did that. And then there's the one. The one means, yeah, I went into that professional development. I'm not using it. I literally probably slept through half the training, and I'm not even going to do it at all because it's stupid. All right, so on according to that scale, I would rank the Orton Gillingham curriculum an 8 out of 10. It is definitely worth it. I definitely speak volumes about the curriculum, and as a curriculum specialist, I have seen it work kindergarten through 5th grade, and I have seen exactly what it can do with struggling readers. So it makes me think, what would Orton Gillingham have to do in order for me to rate it a 10 out of 10? And I think the thing that was missing, especially coming from teaching 5th grade, was like a comprehensive scope and sequence. So I know I explained the scope and sequence earlier. So you had the scope and sequence of rolling out, sounds and letters. And that part was great. But teaching 5th grade, I really didn't have to use it that much. You had the 3-part drills, the red words, you had all these other parts to it, but there was nothing that connected all the different pieces. So I kind of had to create my own system that fit the needs of my children, and that's what I used. But if they had some kind of like comprehensive scope and sequence that included like the syllable division, the phonics lessons, the rules, and all of that together, like week by week, what to follow, I feel like that would give it a 10 out of 10, but that was the thing that was missing. It almost has too many pieces, and I just need a way of like managing all those pieces. So that's what would give it a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Let me know, do you use the Orton Gillingham curriculum, or were you just recently trained Orton Gillingham? I would love to know your experience with the curriculum down below in the comments, and I really want to share with you my entire syllable division system. So definitely join me down below in that masterclass. Now we can't talk about Orton Gillingham and phonics without me actually explaining what is phonics and what is the difference between phonics and phonological awareness. So I need you to watch this video where I go even further in the subject, giving you examples and a total breakdown of what this really means.